I did a film course, like a loose film course. It was actually termed communications at the time that I did it. It was a communications degree and it had a film practical element, and it just really clicked with me, the editing. I was sort of less of a social person in a way, like I felt very collaborative, and I liked the problem solving that you could do, that you could just take stuff and sort it out and be the keeper of the story and make things work, and without having to interact with actors and crew and rain and locations and sets and costumes. So I was sort of fascinated. I always had loved watching TV and talking about TV and analysing TV and movies, and it's just editing seemed to be the thing that best suited my kind of slightly introverted sort of point of view. The thing about working in animation is you storyboard everything before it's shot, so you get to see the whole movie before you start to actually make it. So every scene is storyboarded and scripted, and you record dialogue and add sound effects and music until you have a representation of the script. But then of course you haven't actually shot any animation shots yet, so you can change stuff until it's finally shot in animation. The great thing about Media Composer is that it does allow collaboration, and the animation process is very collaborative. It's not a boutique. You have to have the process broken up into distinct phases, and you need to have multiple workstations working on the same project at the same time. And that consistently over the years has always been Avid's strength, that you can share the work out, that you can be importing whilst you're editing, that you can make reels that are, relevant to the sound department, that you can export stuff relevant to the floor when they're actually in production, and that you can share sequences. And there's a very clear progress from rough cut to fine cut through Avid. On Chronicles of Narnia, what we did was storyboard everything before we started to shoot. Then as we shot the scenes, we were able to cut them into context. That meant that as we had to deliver material to VFX before we were finished, we were able to just see that stuff in context and know it was going to work with the broader sweep of the story. On those films we were shooting, we were cutting storyboards, we were cutting previs, we were cutting plates and dropping previs into the plates, which we'd call post-vis. You've got multiple sources of material and multiple formats that you're trying to blend, different versions and iterations of the movie. VFX is particularly tricky because you're trying to lock sequences so that they can go through the VFX pipeline before you've actually seen a cut of the whole movie. And we had a discipline that we'd learned from animation of laying in lots of temporary effects, lots of sound effects and temporary music, and that very often was the sort of key to leading us into a scene, to find the tone of things, to know how scary things were, how the story was being paced. And we completely rely on our assistants. We completely rely on a workflow of getting the media, from whatever the source is, whether it's the set or whether it's a storyboard department or a previous department, and getting to us in an efficient, presented to us in a way that we can just get on and work with it. And we do delegate stuff. We have our assistants go in and do sound effects and rough timings and sync stuff up, so that there is always stuff to be done for our assistants. But unfortunately there's also a lot of logging and organising and sorting. And you really have to be able to be prepared to sort of jump into that with gusto and just impress through your, through your just passion. We just have to see passion.